wake up, you check your phone, you brush your teeth. Same thoughts, same routine, same internal script on repeat. You go through the motions, half present, telling yourself that tomorrow will be different. But then tomorrow comes, and it isn't. It's the same story in a different outfit. A loop. Invisible, tight, unrelenting. You feel the weight of it, but can't explain why. You change jobs, move cities, end relationships. Still, the loop remains, because here's what no one tells you. You're not stuck in your life. You're stuck in your way of seeing it, and that changes everything. It's not your job, your relationship, or your habits that are on repeat. It's your observation, and that observation, the way you perceive, interpret, and focus, is not just passive. It's creative, right now. Your consciousness isn't just noticing reality, it's selecting it, moment by moment, with every glance. Every thought, every emotional reaction, you're collapsing possibility into pattern. And those patterns, they become your life. But here's the quantum bombshell. You're not experiencing life as it is. You're experiencing life as you observe it to be. And the repetition isn't life repeating you. It's you repeating life from the same level of consciousness that created it. This is what quantum physics calls the observer loop. And until you understand what that means, till you learn how to consciously shift your observation, you'll keep waking up in the same energetic reality, even if everything outside of you looks new. The loop isn't outside you, it's within you, and the only way out is in. Let's go deeper. Let's rewind for a moment. Think about the very first second you woke up this morning. Before you even opened your eyes, what was the first thought? Was it, what extraordinary possibilities await me today? Or was it something like, ugh, another day, same stuff, let's just get through it? That first thought wasn't harmless. It wasn't background noise. It was an instruction, a signal. In that single moment, your consciousness made a choice. Out of the infinite potential realities you could have entered, you collapsed back into the same one you've been living in. And from that moment on, every thought you had, every emotion you felt, every interaction you observed, all reinforced that collapse, that same version of reality, that same version of you. This is the observer loop. It's the invisible cycle you've been living inside your entire life without even realizing it. Here's how it works. You observe reality a certain way. That observation collapses infinite potential into a specific experience. That experience confirms your observation, and your brain files it away as truth. So the next time you observe the same way, and the cycle repeats. You're not seeing the world, you're seeing a filtered, fixed version of it that your consciousness keeps selecting again and again. You observe your face in the mirror and see flaws, not because they're real, but because your mind has been trained to find them. You observe your job, your relationships, your future, and your observation is tinted by memory, fear, self-doubt, and past outcomes. And each of those observations collapses the quantum field into the same narrow timeline. But here's the deeper truth. Observation is not passive. It's not a lens, it's a trigger, a quantum trigger. And every time you unconsciously observe your life the same way, you're hitting that same quantum button, summoning the same emotional energy, activating the same reality. You're not just living in the same world, you're creating it over and over with the same perspective. But here's the shift: if unconscious observation can create limitation, then conscious observation can create liberation. And that's where your power begins. You can learn to interrupt. It's the loop. You can pause before the pattern repeats. You can choose a new observation and collapse a different version of reality entirely. That's what this journey is about. Not changing your life from the pot, side and butt, from the inside out. And it starts with how you see. You've heard the phrase, you create your own reality. But most people take that metaphorically. What if it's literal? In quantum physics, There's something called the observer effect. It tells us that particles, the smallest building blocks of reality, don't exist in one fixed state. They exist in superposition, multiple states, all at once. It's infinite possibilities. Until something happens, they're observed. In that moment of observation, it collapses the wave of possibility into a single outcome, not randomly, but based on how it's observed. Now pause and think about that, because it means something radical. Reality is not unfolding on its own. It's waiting for you to look, and the way you look decides what becomes real. This isn't just theory. This is how your life works. Every morning, you wake up into a field of infinite versions of your day. Some are filled with joy, some with conflict, some with miracles, some with more of the same. In the moment you open your eyes, you start collapsing that wave of possibility, not by taking action, but by how you observe. If your first thought is this is going to be another stressful day, you've already filtered out 99% of other potential experiences. You've selected the version of reality that matches that expectation. And now, your brain and body go to work, not to discover truth, but to confirm the observation you already made. You'll notice the traffic, you'll feel the tension, you'll attract interactions that reflect that stress. Not because that's what the world offered, but because that's what you were tuned to receive. You don't experience its reality. You experience the version of reality that matches your observation. It's like tuning a radio. The quantum field holds every possible station, but your observation, your frequency, picks the one you live inside. Now, here's where most people get stuck. They try to change their life by changing their actions. Work harder, eat healthier, meditate more, hustle, perform. But none of that breaks the loop unless your observation changes, because your actions flow from your state of being, and your state of being is determined by how you observe. It's not the situation that's keeping you stuck. It's the lens through which you're seeing it. And until you pause, till you consciously shift how you engage with the moment, you'll keep collapsing the same patterns into form. So, what's the solution? Shift the lens, change how you observe, and the quantum field will respond. Instead of waking up and saying, "Here we go again," try saying, "This moment is unknown, and that means it's full of potential." Instead of observing your reflection with judgment, observe it with compassion, with curiosity. Instead of looking at your life through the filter of memory, look through the filter of possibility. Because here's the truth. Every moment is a blank canvas till you collapse it into form. Observation is the brush. Consciousness is the painter. In your life, it's the art being created in real time. You've heard this before. Change your perspective and your life changes. But what if your perspective isn't something you chose? What if it's something that's been choosing you? Let's go deeper. Most people aren't observing life consciously. They're observing through default. Patterns, habits of attention formed over years of repetition. You don't wake up neutral. You wake up conditioned, and without realizing it. Your first thoughts in the morning, your first emotions, your first reactions are not conscious choices. They're automatic downloads. You look at your partner and instantly remember the fight. You see your job and feel the weight of yesterday. You glance at your bank balance and feel Oz, familiar anxiety. But here's the quantum truth. Each of those observations is collapsing the field, locking in yesterday's reality and to today. You're not reacting to what's happening. You're reacting to what you've been trained to see. This is the unconscious observer loop, and it's the hidden engine behind most people's suffering. But there's a way to break it. It starts with what I call the quantum pause. Before you look, before you react, before you assign meaning. Pause, breathe, and remember this. Nothing has form till you give it form. This moment is a raw quantum soup of possibility. It is not a continuation of the past unless you observe it that way. Try it right now. Take a slow breath in. Feel your awareness. Drop out of autopilot. Now, look around, and instead of seeing what you expect to see the unknown. see potential. See fresh data. See fresh data before. Because here's what's happening beneath the surface. Your brain is a prediction machine. It's constantly scanning the present, comparing it to the past, and collapsing the future into more of what it already knows. But you are not your brain. You are consciousness. And consciousness has the power to interrupt this upset prediction pattern. Insert something radical. Okay, new observation. That's how you break the loop. Not by forcing change, but by learning to observe differently. And once you do, okay, beautiful chain reaction begins. New observation gives collapses into new experience. New experience gives, reinforces new identity. New identity gives rise to new observations. And just like that, the loop begins to reverse itself. You stop living in reaction. You start living in creation. This isn't about pretending things are. It's different. It's about realizing they can be the moment you stop feeding the old patterns. Because every unconscious observation is a vote for the past. But every conscious observation is a doorway to a new future. Let's go even deeper now. You've learned how your observation creates your reality. But here's what most people miss. You're not just observing the outside world. You're also observing your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, and identity. And just like with your outer world, your inner observation collapses the field. Let that sink in. Every time you think, I'm not enough. Every time you feel, this is just who I am, you're not reporting reality. You're creating it, that emotion. It's not a fact, it's a frequency. And when you observe it as truth, you give it form, power, and shape in your nervous system, in your behavior, and in the field around you. This is the internal observer loop, and it's even more powerful than the PI, is even more powerful than the E, because here's the quantum key. Your external life is just a mirror, reflecting back how you observe your inner self. So, let's reverse it. Instead of waking up and feeling like the same person, you pause and realize, this identity is not fixed. This thought is not permanent. This emotion is not who I am. It's a field of possibility. I'm temporarily collapsing into shape. That shift from identification to observation is the beginning of freedom. It's where the healing starts. Not by changing your life, but by transforming how you witness yourself. Here's how you practice. Next time you feel anxious, don't say, I'm anxious. Say, I'm observing anxiety. Feel the space that opens between you and the emotion. That space is power. That space is freedom. That space is choice. Because now, instead of becoming the emotion, you're the observer of it. And as the observer, you can shift it, release it, or transmute it. And it's not just emotions. It's the story you keep telling yourself. I'm bad with money. I'm not lovable. I always mess things up. These are not personality traits. They're observation patterns. And every time you repeat them, you reinforce the frequency. But pause, observe differently, and you unlock a new quantum potential. You say, right now, I'm witnessing an old narrative arise, but I choose not to collapse it again. That moment of awareness. That's where transformation happens, because you stop being a prisoner of your past. Programming start becoming the architect of a new internal reality. You're no longer a reactor. You're a conscious selector. This is the path of quantum embodiment. It's not about bypassing pain or pretending you're happy. It's about meeting everything that arises thought, as feeling, memory, as quantum date, and choosing what to give energy to. The loop isn't broken by force. It's broken by awareness. You stop saying, this is me, and start saying, okay, this is what I'm observing, and I have the power to choose differently. Let's step even deeper into the invisible forces shaping your visible life. Because this isn't just about what you observe. It's about the energy signature you're broadcasting while observing. You see, your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, memories, they're not just mental. They're electromagnetic frequencies. They carry vibration. They emit patterns, and those patterns lapse matching realities. This is quantum information. It's not stored in your mind. It's stored in your field. It's what your body radiates, what your energy communicates, what the quantum field listens to before you speak a word. Here's how it works. Every moment, your nervous system processes millions of bits of information, but your conscious mind, it only sees about 40 bits per second. So what happens to the rest? It flows into your unconscious field, where your energetic signature filters it all, only allowing in what matches your vibration. This is why two people can be in the same room, hear the same conversation, face the same challenge but experience two completely different realities. They're tuned into different frequency channels. They're energy filters. What's possible? And here's the quantum catch. You can't fake it. You can't say, I believe in abundance, while vibrating in fear, guilt, or scarcity. The field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. So if you're still carrying unresolved pain, you're still living in fight-poor flight. If your body still remembers trauma, rejection, or failure, then that energetic memory becomes your signal in the universe. It mirrors it perfectly, not to punish you, but to reflect what you're ready to transcend. This is why change feels hard, because you're not shifting mindset, shifting frequency. You're rewiring your entire field, from thought to emotion to cellular memory. So let's pause here. Ask yourself, what energy am I broadcasting? What emotion have I normalized? What frequency does my nervous system call home? Because that is what you're collapsing into experience. But here's the powerful truth. Your energy signature is not fixed. Your vibration is not your destiny. It's tunable, trainable, transformable. And when you shift your energetic field, you don't just change your mood, you change your timeline. You access new possibilities, new synchronicities, new realities that were always there, but invisible at your previous frequency. So the work now is not to do more, but to become more coherent, to align your thoughts, your feelings, your body, your beliefs into one clear signal. And when that happens, you don't chase reality. Reality finds you, because you're now a match for the future you were once only dreaming about. You've made it this far. Now we enter the turning point. Until now, we've talked about breaking the loop. But what happens after you break it? What happens when you're no longer unconsciously observing the same patterns? You're standing in the unknown, not yet collapsed into any reality. This space right here, this mysterious, open, untethered space, is what we call quantum presence. It's not a mindset. It's not an idea. It's a state of being. It's where you're no longer reacting from the past and not projecting into the future. You're simply here, aware, awake, witnessing, and in this space you are the field. You, we not separate from reality. You are reality observing itself. This is where conscious creation begins, not from control, not from force, but from alignment. Let's break this down. Most people try to manifest a better life by doing more. They hustle, chase, overthink, overwork, believing action is what creates reality. But in quantum presence, you realize your being is what determines your experience. You don't change reality by pushing against it. You change reality by becoming coherent with it. Because when your attention, emotion, intention, and energy are all vibrating on the same frequency, that's when reality reshapes around you. Here's the truth most people never hear. The most powerful creators are not the busiest. They're the most present. They're not rushing. They're not desperate. They are clear, calm, aligned. Why? Because when you observe from wholeness instead of fear, you collapse the quantum field into realicious, are also whole, also balanced, also peaceful. It's not magic, it's physics. Here's a practice to anchor this. Right now, take a breath. Feel your body. Notice the sensations. Notice the stillness underneath the movement. Now ask yourself, what am I observing right now? Am I witnessing life from my authentic self, from my wounded, reactive self? Because creation doesn't come from pretending, it comes from truth. Quantum presence means showing up real, unmasked, unedited, unapologetic, and when you do that, field responds. People begin to mirror your authenticity. Opportunities K-line without effort. Synchronicities increase life. It starts to feel like it's on your side. Because here's the final key in this quantum dance. You are not the puppet. You are the choreographer, the observer, the artist. You're not trying to escape life anymore. You're co-creating it, moment by moment, with every breath you take. This is what it means to live consciously. This is what it means to create without force. This is what it means to step fully into your infinite self. So what happens when you live this way? Not just occasionally, but consistently. What happens when quantum presence becomes your default state? When conscious observation isn't something you practice from time to time, but becomes the very lens through which you experience existence. Welcome to what I call the art of quantum living. This isn't about theory anymore. This is about integration, embodiment, living as if every breath, every moment, every interaction is a quantum act of creation, because it is. Think of it like this. Every thought is a brushstroke. Every emotion is a color. Every word a vibration. And you are the artist holding the canvas of reality in quantum living. Life is not something happening to you. It's something happening through you. You don't wait for circumstances to improve. You don't beg the universe for favors. You realize the universe is waiting on you to align, to observe, to choose. And once you do, it responds with uncanny precision. But let's be honest, most people don't live this way. Why? Because they haven't learned how to sustain coherence, the vibrational harmony between thought, emotion, energy, and intention. They dip into awareness and snap back into fear. They catch a glimpse of possibility, then collapse into habit. Quantum living is learning to hold the frequency long enough for reality to reconfigure around it. Let me explain. Coherence is like a tuning fork. When you hold a steady vibration, life begins to match it. Opportunities start showing up. People treat you differently. Ideas download effortlessly. Synchronicities multiply. Why? Because your field is broadcasting a clear signal into the quantum matrix. And the field always answers coherence. Here's the shift most never make. They keep trying to change the world from a place of incoherence, fear, lack, overthinking. But that only reinforces the same old feedback loop. The art of quantum living is the opposite. It's aligning your entire being so that your observation becomes a living frequency of intention. And from that frequency, you collapse realities that reflect back your inner alignment. You don't just observe wholeness, you broadcast wholeness. You don't just think abundance, you vibrate abundance. You don't just hope for peace, you embody it. So how do you build this life? Simple, not easy. You trained your attention, you stop scattering it. You refine it like a laser. You lead with your energy. Before you act, you align. You stay aware of your loop, not with judgment, but with curiosity. You catch the unconscious pattern the moment it starts and choose its presence instead. That's the art, moment by moment, over and over, until it becomes your nature. In this state, life doesn't feel like a struggle. It feels like a conversation with the quantum field, and you begin to notice something miraculous. That difficult person, a mirror showing you a place inside, still seeking coherence. That setback, an invitation to retune your energy and observe from deeper clarity. That dream you have, not just a fantasy, a signal from a version of you that already exists in the quantum, waiting to be observed into form. Quantum living isn't about escaping life. It's about engaging with it fully, from presence, from alignment, from truth. It's a way of walking through this world with reverence for your creative power, because every moment is sacred. Every breath is a choice. Every observation is a brushstroke on the infinite canvas of reality. This is the art of quantum living. This is what happens, Shin. You stop looping and start creating. You've come full circle. You've seen the loop. You've felt it. You've lived inside it. And now you're standing at the edge of it. This is the moment where most people stop, right at the border of the unknown, because the loot may be painful, but at least it's familiar. But today, you're not choosing comfort. You're choosing freedom. You're choosing to walk through the invisible door where your old patterns cannot follow, and your new self is finally born. So, what does it mean to break free? It means no longer collapsing reality based on who you used to be. It means refusing to observe from your wounds, your fears, your stories. It means stepping into the observer, not the victim, not the fixer, but the creator. Because when you stop observing through old timelines, stop living them, you start witnessing possibility. Possibility becomes your life. Let this land every time you assume you're stuck. You've already reactivated the loop, but every time you pause just for a second and observe differently, you open a crack in the matrix, and through that crack infinite versions of you begin to pour in. Versions not weighed down by the past, not limited by fear, not held hostage by someone else's belief, just pure, tapped quantum potential. And here's the truth: you don't need to become anything. You just need to tune into the version of you who already exists in that frequency. Because freedom isn't something you earn, it's something you choose. This is the final key. If you want to live a different life, you have to be willing to observe yourself differently. You have to stop identifying with the struggle. Stop worshiping the wound. Stop repeating the thought that this is just how life is. It's not. That was the loop. But now you know the secret. You know that observation creates collapse, that attention is selection, that feeling is frequency, that belief is reality's architect. So what now? Now you practice. You practice noticing, pausing, observing, from love instead of fear, alignment instead of control, presence instead of panic. You practice until presence becomes your new home. Because when you live from quantum awareness, you don't need to escape the loop. You simply stop feeding it, and as it dissolves, you begin to see life as it truly is. Infinite, open, ever-shifting. You're no longer a character in the story. You're the author. You're no longer waiting for miracles. You are the miracle. So the question is no longer, how do I escape the loop? The question is, am I willing to become the version of method never needed the loop to begin with? Because that version is waiting right on the other side of this observation, right here, right now. And it's calling you into your highest timeline, your clearest self, your most radiant life. So take the step, observe differently, collapse its possibility into freedom. And remember, the loop ends where your awareness begins. And from here forward, everything is yours to create.